What's up, YouTube? It's Kenny again. I just got finished watching JMac's interview with Thomas Healy from Hyliion, and I wanted to talk a little bit about it. If you guys aren't familiar with JMac's channel, it's JMac Investing, and Jason interviewed Mr. Healy, and this is, I believe, the second interview he's done with him. He shouted me out to Mr. Healy. It kind of cut off there and came back, so I wonder what was said during that downtime right there. But I wonder if he told him, hey, give Kenny a fucking ERX, Thomas. But it was cool. So if Thomas Healy hadn't heard of me before that, he's heard of me now. If anybody makes their way over here because they heard the name of the channel over there, I appreciate you being here. Thanks for your support, and thanks to all you guys. Okay, so before we get started, as usual, I just want to say I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a truck driver driving across the country, researching and trading stocks, and I will not be held responsible for any moves you make in the stock market. Not ever. All right, I'm not your mama. Do your own research. But yeah, JMac got the interview again, man, and he nailed it. Mentioned our channel there. So Mr. Healy, if you come over here watching my videos, I want that ERX now. No, but seriously, when I made that video as a message to him, I never expected to get any kind of response from him. You know what I mean? I'm a fucking foul-mouthed ass, smoking ass trucker, and I probably ain't supposed to be nobody's public face of no company, you know what I mean? But I mean, you know, hey, if he wants to hook a brother up and let me make videos about the ERX, man, I'd totally be down with that. And I know a lot of you guys are keen on the idea, but you know, in reality, like, you don't want somebody like me, a real talk motherfucker, like repping your company in that type of a way, you know what I mean? I do hope someday to get to drive the truck, though. I do hope to someday be able to drive one. So in the interview, you know, they touched on a lot of stuff that I've already said over and over on this channel, and then some other people have said as well. There were a few interesting things that he actually said the words working with in reference to Peterbilt, and that's something that I've talked about, that they're going to put these ERX, the demonstration models or whatever you want to call them, they're putting them on Peterbilt chassis. Peterbilt's a big deal in the trucking industry, you know. Peterbilt and Kenworth, and them putting these trucks on Peterbilts means something. And the way he described it was he wanted to keep it in Texas, that Texas pride thing. I like that. I'm from Texas, you know. But they make those Peterbilts there in Denton, Texas. And, of course, Hyliion's based out of Texas. Another interesting thing that he mentioned that, you know, I've talked about how eventually down the road they'll be able to switch to hydrogen, okay? And we talked about the generator being them hoping to get a generator, or for technology to be developed so that they can just use the same generator for either hydrogen or CNG, RNG. And something that he mentioned that was interesting was, I can't remember what he called it, but that there are some people working on like solutions for the fuel tank to be fuel agnostic, so that like you could fuel RNG, and then say you're in a spot where there wasn't any RNG, but there happened to be hydrogen, which, you know, is 10 years away, but still, so at some point in the future, that you might actually be able to just go ahead and top it off with hydrogen. And since you've got this fuel agnostic generator charging the batteries, they may not even have to make any changes at that stage, and just will be able to run on either or, and not even have to choose one specifically. You could use hydrogen today and CNG in a couple days. You know, that's a really interesting concept. And, you know, that's way far away, and I don't want to confuse the issue. Hyliion is a natural gas solution, not a hydrogen solution. of talk about hydrogen in the future and how easy it will be for them to just transition right over. You know what I mean? And but right now, they talked about hydrogen a little bit, and right now, I mean, hydrogen, he said, is somewhere around $16 a kilogram, which, it makes it way more expensive than even running diesel. So right now, it's just hydrogen is just not a viable solution. See what my pre-pass is saying. All right, I'm good. There was some interesting stuff that came up, and JMac kind of threw the PR thing in his face a little bit, but he was real diplomatic about it. And Hyliion seemed to suggest that as we move forward, and as like I've said in the past, that as we move forward, and once these demonstration models get released later this year, that there'll be more PR coming. And I have always expected that. But he talked a little bit about, that they've added a lot of people in different areas of the company, and marketing and PR being one of those areas. So hopefully the PR will improve. Now the share price not doing very good. Lordstown down some too. Everything I got is not doing well. But I'm taking a long-term view of it. I'm actually kind of considering selling OEG for a loss and dumping it into Hyliion, guys. I hate to sell something in the red, but I don't have money, and Hyliion and Lordstown are so cheap right now that I really want to dump some more into it, and they're higher conviction for me than OEG. So I haven't made that decision, but it's a possibility that I could just say fuck it and sell that for a loss and put it in Hyliion to increase my position. I just get more and more bullish on it the more I hear about it. He talked about how these companies that are in this coalition have signed up for more than just receiving these trucks, that they have signed up to be a part of that coalition to help to advance this technology and improve it. And like I've said before, he talked about, and I'll probably say that a lot in this video, but he talked about how as this testing and validation rolls out with the ERXs being delivered, that they're going to be providing a lot of feedback and helping them to improve the product moving forward. And he does expect that he'll be getting orders from these companies, like I said. And yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of reiteration of a lot of things that I've talked about already. And they touched on the fact that, like I said in that, I believe it was the last Hyliion video, where I talked about how
2 miles, keep right on
these companies have relationships with particular brands, truck brands. And, Bubba wants to still talk to his guy, Cletus, over at Freightliner or Peterbilt or whatever it is, because he's been dealing with that guy for 20 years. And they talked about how, you've got Chevy guys and you got Ford guys, and the Ford guy is going to buy a Ford, and the Chevy guy is going to buy a Chevy. Okay, I'm a Chevy guy and I don't buy Fords. All right, and that's in the trucking industry. It's kind of even stronger than that. Like a Peterbilt guy likes Peterbilts, and he don't want to buy a Tesla, no matter how badass it may be. He likes Peterbilts. He's a Peterbilt guy. He's got 20 t-shirts and hats that say Peterbilt on them because he loves Peterbilt. And that's an advantage that Hyliion has, that you can still go buy the Peterbilt that you love, and it's still got all the stuff that you love about Peterbilt on it. It's just electric. And I think that does make a difference, man. I mean, we as investors, a lot of people really love Tesla. But the fact remains that we're talking about truck drivers, and we're talking about trucking companies. And these people are set in their ways, and they like what they like. And it's really hard to get them to go buy from somebody else when they've been buying from Cletus for the last 20 years. It seems like an advantage to me. And I wish he would have talked about the possibility of creating relationships to have these installed from the manufacturer. And I wish they would talk more about, goddamn, shut up, Chief wish that they would talk more about how the installation process is going to work and what their plans are for that whole process. Like, are they planning on approaching glider companies? Do they just have one person and they're going to supply it? I'd like to know how, or at least what their ideas are for the future on the installation of these products and how that's going to work. Is it going to be, something that you can get from Peterbilt, or are you going to have to buy it from a third-party company that has already installed it, or like a glider company type situation? I would like to hear about that and know about that. So JMac, if you get a chance to talk to him again, or Thomas, if you're watching this, we'd like to hear about that. We'd like to hear about how the purchase process is going to go, like in your view, in the future. That's because that matters a lot as to how fast or slow this may proliferate next year. So yeah, I'd like to know more about that. But at any rate, guys, I appreciate your support. Join the fucking Patreon. The link is in the description. Support the channel. We got some stuff coming. There's going to be deposits going into this special account just for the YouTube and Patreon money. So support the channel by joining the Patreon, or by trying to catch a live stream and throwing me a super chat, or by just continuing to watch the videos. But join the fucking Patreon, all right? Hit that subscribe button, like the video, let me know what you thought about the interview, and thanks for watching.